Lonnie and Marie Smith at a barbecue on a summer's day. An ordinary couple on an outing, except that Lonnie has Alzheimer's and cannot do much on his own. His wife Marie cares for his needs.
Put your legs in front of you, please. Lonnie, bring your legs this way, please.
Kitty Hermitage was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Jeff, her husband of half a century, is now also her carer. This is Hortensia Woodruff, my mother, feisty, rebellious, fun-loving, and in her 20s. And this is her in her 70s, when she had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. I cared for her until her death, and by then she hardly knew me.
When you look after somebody with dementia, you have to wear two hats. One, the Florence Nightingale cap of compassion, looking after every one of their physical and mental needs. The other is the warrior helmet, battling your way, finding out what services and benefits are available.
We have been together for 36 years. We met at a party in Hampstead and eventually we got married. He was diagnosed in early spring 1998, and he was diagnosed because he must have worried about not remembering things, and he went to his GP himself. He didn't actually even tell me. I felt quite devastated. I knew that as you approach old age, you have to expect maybe your health breaking down and, you know, bits and pieces going by the wayside. But this is the one thing that never thought would happen. It didn't enter my mind at any point. Well, you have to brush your teeth. You can't go out like that. He was still working. He was still doing his relief portering. And he was quite able to maintain a certain amount of independence. He used to go and get his papers. He used to still go to the pub and do the few things that he was doing in the neighborhood at the time, you know, go to work and manage to stay there for another almost 2 years, you know, until the people that he worked for realized that there was something quite drastically wrong. Shall we do the buttons up? Lonnie lost his job. I knew that he was at home on his own all the time, which wasn't something that I was too happy about. He really needed someone there, if not all of the time, but most of the time. He showed sign of being very confused at that point. I hadn't really realized it because when you're working, you know, you go home and you're busy with preparing a meal in the evening, then you do the washing up and watch a bit of television together, and then you go to bed, and then, you know, the next day starts again. But you don't realize, you don't see all the little signs that you see when you are actually 24 hours you know, a day together, which I did during the holidays, obviously. That's when I decided that maybe it was the time to give up work and, you know, stay around.
When you were still working, did you not think of having help so that you could carry on working?
No, I did not know that you could get help every day of the week, for instance, because really I didn't have the knowledge to make the decision.
We need to reassure people that they don't have to do this by themselves. There are lots of services out there that can help them to manage this. I think your first protocol, if you think that somebody who you're looking after or your partner is suffering from any form of dementia, is your GP, who would then either, if they're a GP practice, that will do the assessment themselves, they will do it, or they will send you to a psychogeriatrician. There's a CPN service, which is the community psychiatric nurse, who will come out and give you advice and tell you how to manage behaviours. There are places like day centres, respite care home, short breaks which are given by such services as Crossroads, and a variety of other services that are out there. So at the end of it all, although it may feel very much that you're on your own, I think we need to reassure people that they don't have to do this on their own.
My mother came to Netherwoods, a day centre specialising in the care of people with dementia. It was my lifesaver. Of course, her condition didn't get better, but at least it gave her a chance of socialising with other people, and it gave me a welcome break. Many people don't know that such centres exist. and others are worried that by sending their relatives there, they might be neglecting them. Take my advice. If you have one near you, grab it with both hands. Lonnie comes here twice a week.
The first time that Lonnie went to Netherwood, when we saw him going on the bus with all these other people, we both cried. We found it really hard. We found it terribly tough, because this man who looks much younger than he is, and who had been a very lively person, you know, to see him reduced to walking onto this bus and being sort of shepherded into his seat and so on, it was really not a very happy experience for us. And then you get used to it. But sometimes, even now, you get sort of pangs when you see him. You sort of are taken aback, really.
It is an emotional time. It's your dependent. A lot of carers might feel that, why can't I cope? Am I pushing them away? Should I really be making these decisions? So when they do start attending the service, it's our way that we can start working with the carer to support them, so that they can start working through their emotions and be content in the knowledge to know that your dependent is safe and being cared for, without feeling guilty about it. Because there are services out that will allow you to do these things. And I think we always work from the side of it that if you're contented and happy, you can spend quality time with your dependent. Because the one thing that seems to be happening with our carers is they're becoming quite stressed, and that is when they find it harder to cope. And the feedback that's come back from carers is because they've had that time out, they can now cope with a lot more situations. Because carers, unfortunately, sometimes by the time they've been referred to the centre, they've now come to the end of their tether.
I think very importantly is that people see that the place where the person's coming to is conducive to care. It needs to be somewhere where you walk in and you think, well, oh good, I wouldn't mind coming here myself, because the atmosphere is right, the decor is right, and the people who you meet are right. And that's about people being made to feel welcome, free to come whenever they want to. So those are issues about when a carer is looking for a place, whether it's a daycare placement or a residential placement.
It is his social life there. He meets other people, both staff and other people who are in the same situation as he is. And I think it's very important for him, because he was a very sociable person, and to be here with me most of the time, just the two of us, must be very limiting, as it is for me.
You're not just putting somebody in a day centre as the terminology that sometimes you'd hear carers use, whereas to us a day centre is somewhere people come in order to basically have a different day from the one they have at home.
What colour would you like?
And the carer's role in that is to make sure that the service that we are offering is provided and that the person they care for is getting that service.